and I'm a correctional counselor with the Day Reporting Center Community Resource Center, and I am the coordinator of the Community Resource Center. We will be having a one-stop shop. We have that the second Monday of each month. It's from 2 o'clock to 3:30. It is at our office, which is located at 204 Freckles Court. We offer employment and resources at that time. We also have ongoing classes, whether it is anger management, adult education, alcohol and drug prevention. We've just got a wide variety of resources that we offer to anyone that is justice involved. I have put my email in the chat and would love to partner with any agencies that would like to facilitate classes or be a part of our one-stop shop to offer resources and or employment to justice involved individuals.
Thank you, Shannon. Anybody else have something they want to share?
This is Tia with
Sorry.
with Carter County Drug Prevention. So we have a big event coming up on the 7th. So we're doing at the Elizabethan Library. So we're doing a community Narcan training, and we're also unveiling a community Narcan box. So that way the community has more access to be able to get Narcan. So we're going to start at 1 o'clock. And Kayla Cobb is going to come in and do the Narcan training, and we'll have coffee and snacks. And then we'll also have some tables set up for people to get some resources from. And then we will go outside and unveil the box. So we would love to have you there. The event starts at 1 and ends about 3.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Savon Alexander. I am the Youth Engagement Specialist with Tennessee Voices in Sisseton-McCarracough, Tennessee. I work with the Youth Move Council throughout Tennessee. And right now, we're working on receiving referrals for children who are within the age of 10 to 16. Who have system involvement or who don't have system involvement, but just need additional guidance and support. So I will provide that referral link in the chat box, but our next council meeting will be on March 13th from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and then 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So we really just work to help the youth advocate for themselves within these systems, and really just work to make sure that the youth don't fall through the cracks of the system. So and we also guide them and teach them social emotional skills, and as well as life skills. So if you have any youth that would benefit from my counsel, I provided my information in the chat box, and I will provide that referral link.
I'll go next, if that's okay. I am Caroline Rodriguez, also from Tennessee Voices. I am with the Statewide Family Support Network. And what we do is that we provide advocacy support from firsthand experiences to our families who are either involved with DCS or the juvenile court. We help them navigate that system and get everything that they may be asking them for. We also help families that are in need of an IEP or a 504. What we do is that we teach these parents how to prepare for those meetings and what their rights are. And we even go with them to the meetings either through Zoom or in person, depending where they're at, and if our schedule permits it. We also provide that advocacy support when it comes to family-driven IEP classes. We provide that to providers and parents. We have one every month online, and we can also provide them in person and the parent-to-parent training as well. If you have any questions, my information is in the chat. Let me know. thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'll go real quick. I'm Andy Hall, and I am the Community Health Manager for the entire state with, and I've actually got 3 other states too, but with Hickman Community Health, and I basically provide education about Kloxxado, which is the double dose Narcan. So it's the 8 milligram naloxone nasal spray. So I just wanted to, my information's in the chat, but if anybody has questions about where to get it or how to get it or about the medication itself, I just wanted to let you know that you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I will help you in any way that I can. So thanks so much.
Hey guys, I'll go real quick. My name is Brittany Peeler. I'm with Johnson City Recovery Center. We are hosting a fundraising event this coming Saturday. Let me pull up the flyer. Saturday, March 4th. It's a $10 suggested donation, but we will have pizza and drinks and a game night. So there'll be Monopoly cards, anything you can think of. We'll be there having fun. Come Saturday night. Thanks.
I'll go. My name is Rebecca Evans, and I am the field GA in the College of Public Health at East Tennessee State University. So I wanted to, while I'm here, I wanted to reach out and say that what I do is I help students connect with organizations for internships. We actually had a networking night event last night where we got to network with organizations our students did together. So if you all are looking for any interns in the region, please let me know. I will put my email in the chat, and if we don't already have an agreement with you, we can go ahead and get that started. But if you're looking for an intern, please let me know.
Rebecca, I have a question about that. Now, do they have to be enrolled, excuse me, currently enrolled in college to be able to qualify for the internship?
Yes, so it is for our program. So it is health administration undergraduate. And then we also have the master's level. So we have MHA, we have in the MPH concentration, we have epidemiology, community and behavioral health, global health. And so it's a non-clinical internship that they are required to complete. Usually they choose to do it in the last semester of their internship, but it is like program based. So they have objectives and competencies that they have to follow in order to complete that. And so it's basically just kind of real world experience while in school, so that, you know, they're being guided, but also getting the opportunity to work with the public and work in the field.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to share before we move on?
I will, Jillian, really quick. My name is Shauna Johnson. I'm a health educator here at the Carter County Health Department. And I just wanted to do a quick plug for our friends at the Elizabethton Senior Center. And I'll attach the flyer to the minutes once we get done. I can also put it in the chat for anybody that needs it. But we hold monthly, it's the last Tuesday of every month here at the Senior Center. That's 428 G Street. We hold a grandparents raising grandchildren support group. And the goal is to kind of help, as we all know, not everybody has the most traditional or nuclear family. Sometimes we have grandparents, great grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc., who are raising kids or helping to raise kids. So the goal of this group is to kind of provide resources, help them with some of the technology hurdles, get them connected with people who can help them, help tutor their kids, kind of help them, like I said, overcome some of those tech hurdles too, and just kind of give them a place to kind of share their experiences, because sometimes it's a little bit different for grandparents and the older generation that are kind of stepping in and picking up that slack. So I encourage you to please, if you know anybody in Carter County that needs this support, I encourage you to invite them. Like I said, I'll put the flyer on the minutes and I'll also put it in the chat. So if you know any grandparents, great grandparents or any other family members that are doing their primary caregiving, please invite them to this group. We need our grandparents to come so we can kind of help them get where they need to be.
Thanks, Shauna. Anybody else have anything? Okay, I'm gonna share just a couple of things real quick. This Saturday is Seuss on the Loose in downtown Elizabethton. So Elizabethton Parks and Rec and the library and a bunch of other downtown businesses and organizations are partnering for this event. So 12 to 2 on Saturday, Seuss on the Loose, if you have any families who might be interested in that. I also wanted to share that on March 20th, we will be hosting the Stashed Away trailer. It's the Army National Guard's display, set up like a kid's bedroom, and parents can come in and kind of check out ways that their kiddos could be hiding drugs or alcohol or tobacco products, whatever. And so we're going to talk a little bit more. I think Tyler will share about, we're going to have another meeting that day, an in-person meeting for this group as well. And then following that, the Stashed Away trailer will be there from 3 to 7 at the library. So we'd love for you to share that with the families that you serve, or anybody that might be interested in attending that. All right. So anybody have anything else before we move on? Okay, so we will go ahead and move into our sharing session for today. So we have 2 awesome speakers today. Our first one is Tyler Wright with the Northeast Regional Health Office. So we will turn it over to Tyler to share with us now.
Hey, everybody. I was actually wondering if Miss Peja would be willing to go first today. I think that her presentation will lead well into mine.
I am absolutely fine with that, Tyler. If
Awesome.
that's okay with everybody else, I can go ahead and I'll turn my screen on for just a minute to say hi. I know everybody else has their screen off. I think I see one person with their screen on. So I'll probably turn it off while I'm presenting, but I'm happy to turn it back on as if you guys have any questions or any topics of discussion after the presentation. And I'm sorry to Shannon and Caroline, who I know just heard me present yesterday at the Washington County Health Council, that they have to hear this again. But if it's okay with you guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. Can everyone see my screen okay? All right, wonderful. Thank you, Caroline. I saw your thumbs up. All right, my name is Peja McCart, and I am the Director of Population Health Data at Ballad Health. So I'm really excited for the chance to get to speak with you all today. I'm fortunate enough to have Ballad's Community Health Needs Assessment process fall under my purview. And so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about our previous assessment process in 2021, as well as our upcoming assessment process. So as I mentioned, I'm happy to take any questions that you guys may have at the end of this presentation. I actually completed the 2021 assessments as part of my dissertation. So I feel pretty certain I can answer just about any question you might throw at me, since these assessments have really been a big part of my life in the recent years. So just to start us off with a little bit of background information, there are some regulatory requirements for us as a not-for-profit health system associated with our community health needs assessment process. And so as required by the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act passed in 2010, not-for-profit healthcare systems or individual hospitals are required to conduct a community health needs assessment and adopt an associated improvement plan or action plan every 3 years in order for us to maintain our tax exempt status with the IRS. And as an additional regulatory requirement, we do have to ensure that these community health needs assessment reports are made available to the public. So at minimum, we ensure that through posting these assessments on our Ballad Health website. But while yes, there is this regulatory requirement for these assessments, they hold so much more value to us than simply that. So in other words, we as a system do not engage in this assessment process just because we have to. And so when really taking a look into our why and why these assessments are held into such high regard for us as a system, it really boils down to the fact that these assessments serve as a guiding light or working document for our system as a whole, especially our Division of Population Health. And so this really comes into play for an array of different things. So these assessments hold high value to us when we're looking at resource allocation. So this is everything from our external to internal funding decisions, our staffing decisions, where we need to spend our time as we're working and things of that sort. It also comes into play when we're looking at the creation of community health improvement initiatives, activities, or interventions. So these assessments help to show us where we need interventions, where there currently are none, or it also allows us to take a look at our current interventions and determine if the need is greater and if we need to further expand our efforts. And it also comes into play when looking at how we want to continue to build our community partnerships. So it really helps us to gain additional insight into what our partners are doing in this community to already address some of these issues that we may identify. And certainly Ballad understanding what our role should be in those efforts. So in some efforts, it's appropriate for Ballad to take the lead. In other efforts, it may be more appropriate for Ballad to take more of a supportive role. And so in the next few slides, I'm going to go into a little bit higher level of detail related to our approach to this community health needs assessment process. But I did want to go ahead and start with the two bullet points that you see here on the screen just to kind of set the stage. And so Ballad Health utilizes a system-wide approach to the community health needs assessment process, but each of our hospitals will have to complete their own assessment. And so we don't complete one community health needs assessment for all of Ballad. Again, it is at that individual hospital level. And so we will be doing 21 different assessments at one time, which is it's certainly something we can handle. We've got the manpower to do so. But that's certainly why you're hearing from me now. Our assessments, our next iteration of assessments will be due in June of 2024. And so we're certainly embarking on this process now to ensure we've got plenty of time and can collect a lot of data. And so specifically for Carter County, our assessment will be for Sycamore Shoals Hospital. And so moving on to the model that we selected to really guide our assessment process. We selected a model called Mobilizing for Action Through Planning and Partnerships. It's called MAP for short. This model was developed by the National Association for County and City Health Officials, or called NACCHO for short. We actually, myself and others on my team, recently attended a training on the MAP model by NACCHO, and that's actually where I found out that it is pronounced NACCHO and not Nacho, as I had been incorrectly saying for quite some time now. But we were able to attend this training and further our skills and further develop our MAP strategy. So that's something that we're really excited about. But really, in summary, MAP is an iterative, flexible framework that can be tailored to communities to fit their needs. So that's really what we love about this model is its flexibility. As everyone on this call knows, the Appalachian Highland region is unique. And with that comes unique issues and also unique solutions. So in utilizing MAP, we're able to really account for those regional characteristics and really lean into some of the strengths in this community. So the MAP model has 6 different phases. Those phases are depicted on this map that you see on the screen. We really love this diagram, so you'll see it often from us, and is why we wanted to include it here on the slides, but it is a little bit difficult to see the actual steps. So on the next slide, we'll really go into what those the 6 phases of MAP are. And so here on this slide are the 6 phases of MAP. So starting us out, you can see that our first phase is organized for success and partnership development. And so this is really where community members and agencies form a partnership and learn about the MAP process. And so this step has a little green star on it because that's exactly what we're doing today, and you all allowing me to come speak with you. And I've been working with Tyler related to the various health councils in Northeast Tennessee. We're really engaging in phase 1 of MAP, so that partnership development. We then move on to phase 2, which is the visioning phase. And this is where a creation of a common understanding occurs of what we would like to achieve. So in other words, this is where we all come together and say, what does a healthy community look like to us? That then leads us into the assessment phase. So this is the data collection phase. And this is where qualitative and quantitative data are gathered to provide a comprehensive picture of health in the community. That then leads us directly into the 4th phase, which is to identify strategic issues. And this is where we take all of that data, we analyze that data, and we really try to uncover underlying themes that need to be addressed in order for us as a community to achieve the vision that we set out in phase 2 of MAP. Once we are able to kind of identify those strategic issues, we then move to the 5th phase, which is to formulate goals and strategies. And so this is where we are developing our implementation plan or our action plan. And so goals and associated strategies are identified to implement related to the strategic issues that were identified in the previous phase. That then leads us right into our action cycle, which is where those implementation plans and those action plans are implemented and continuously evaluated. And I do want to mention and call special attention to that continuous evaluation piece, because it's not something that we set forth an action plan and we ride with it no matter what. We certainly continuously evaluate to see if maybe the things that we set forth in our implementation plan are not working as we had hoped. So we certainly, reserve the opportunity through this evaluation, continuous evaluation, to pivot if needed and alter our course so that we can best meet the needs of the community. And so this is an overview of the MAP process as a whole, but on the next slide, I'm going to show you exactly kind of what this process looked like for us in our 2021 assessments. And so I know there's a lot here on the screen. I'm not going to read word for word everything that's on here. But again, this is an overview of our 2021 assessment process. And so these boxes or steps are color coded to indicate which phase of MAP we were engaged in along the way. And you can see the color legend there on the screen. So kicking us off at the top of our cycle is our partnership and development phase. So in this phase, we created a steering committee to identify and adapt our guiding model and design our assessment process. And so in 2021, this is where the steering committee decided that we wanted to move forward with MAP as our model for these assessments and also for our future assessments. So that's why, again, for this next iteration of assessments, we will also be using MAP. And so the biggest thing here that I want to call attention to is really this design element, because this is where, again, we can really lean into the flexibility of the MAP model and better tailor it to our specific community and also what current issues our community was facing. And so the biggest thing here that we were dealing with was the pandemic. So really right when we were starting our assessment efforts, we were right in the midst of the pandemic. And so that changed a lot of what our MAP process looked like in 2021. And so collaboration with our community partners looked different, as the health departments and us as a health system were really stretched thin as we were trying to respond to the pandemic. And in addition to that, our community engagement also looked different as we were operating with limited resources, and all of our interactions really moved into that virtual space, whereas we had hoped they would be in person. So that's just something I want to call attention to, again, really leaning on the flexibility of the MAP model. But moving on from there, we developed regional assessment work groups. And these were some of those individuals, kind of a spinoff from the steering committee, who may be more boots on the ground and who really may help us push out some of our surveys or help us host our focus groups, things of that sort, who may be directly engaging with the community. We then move into the visioning phase. So that's the light blue box that you see there on the screen. And this is where we worked with both the steering committee and the regional work group to really develop that vision and to develop shared indicators, shared processes and practices, and synergies and paths to collaborate. We then moved into the assessment phase, which were the 3 darker blue boxes there on the screen. And this is where we really began collecting secondary data for our communities. So this included an array of different secondary data elements related to health outcomes, health behaviors, the social determinants of health, access to care, the physical environment, and even more than that. And these data packages that we created that contained all of the secondary data were distributed to the key stakeholders that we identified in this process. We also created and distributed a key stakeholder survey, and then we were really able to use the secondary data we had compiled and the findings from our survey to really guide our focus group design and generate some really, really rich discussion surrounding the issues that were identified. And so in these conversations, because we did have some direction, again, from the secondary data and from the survey, we were really able to get into the weeds of some of these issues that were identified by participating in, root cause analysis exercises, for example. And so then as we moved on from this assessment phase and into the identify strategic issues phase of MAP, in real time with the focus groups, we went through a prioritization exercise that allowed for the collective group to decide which 3 issues should take priority for those implementation plans that we were going to create. So this was also done in coordination with hospital leadership through both their attendance in the focus groups themselves and also in some presentations and conversations we had with the hospital boards. So that then brings us to the gray boxes that you see on the screen. And you may have noticed that those are not on the legend, and that's because they're not necessarily a phase of MAP, but I did want to include them here to show you guys the different levels of approval that we as a health system have to go through prior to completing these assessments and making them available to the public. So unlike maybe some others, entities that you have worked with related to assessments who don't have a strict timeline, we certainly do. We've got a strict deadline and then an associated timeline that we have to abide by. And so for us, these assessments must be posted and made available to the public by June 30th of 2024. And so we certainly start with that date in mind and kind of work backwards as we are creating the timeline for our assessment process, because we do have to present the reports to our Social Responsibility and Population Health Committee to seek their approval and recommendation. And we also have to report and receive approval from the Ballot Health Board. So some of these boards and these committees only meet a handful of times a year. And so we have to be sure we're prepared and have everything wrapped up with a pretty bow on it by the first half of 2024. So following this, we jump right into our implementation plans, which is the red box that you see there on the screen. I'm not going to go into too much depth about that today, as it could be a whole nother PowerPoint and presentation. But I will tell you that in 2021, the priority areas for Carter County that were selected were substance abuse and mental health, as the focus groups felt that they really couldn't separate the two, transportation, and adverse childhood experiences. And so moving on to the next slide and kind of just what to expect. So in our next iteration of assessments, again, that will be due in 2024. As I mentioned, the pandemic affected all of us, and it certainly had an effect on our MAP process. So because of that, we really want to build upon our previous iteration of assessments through some of the things that you see listed here on the screen. So starting us out related to increased collaboration, we are really excited to be able to foster true collaboration in this next iteration of assessments with you guys, with our friends at VDH, the Virginia Department of Health, and other community stakeholders, as we all now have a little bit more time and resources to dedicate to these assessment efforts that we all didn't have previously. In addition to that, also related to additional community touch points, because as a health system, we had limited resources to allocate to our community health needs assessment process, again, as a result of the pandemic, we really want to expand our primary data collection efforts and those community touch points. So we want to incorporate a community-wide survey. We want to host additional focus groups. We want to explore the use of interviews with the goal of just garnering as much community input as possible through these assessment efforts. We also want to see some increased flexibility. So though we will have common metrics and data elements that are going to be collected for all of our hospitals and their associated communities, we do realize that what may be of interest or important to one community may not be as important in another. And so we really want to lean into the flexibility of our assessments and tailor them as needed. So what data elements we want to explore and collect for Carter County may differ some from what the data elements or additional data that we want to explore for Unicoi County or a county in Southwest Virginia. And so not only that, but we're also going to push for flexibility for some of our counties who have multiple facilities. So for Washington County, we'll be doing 4 different assessments, but that includes, Niswonger Children's Hospital and Woodridge. And so we anticipate that in that process, that, the additional data elements that Niswonger will want to focus on are most likely going to be related to that child and pediatric health. Whereas Woodridge, we anticipate is going to want to take a more mental health focus for their additional data elements. That then leads us to the last one here, which is that we really want to expand our community dissemination efforts. So we really want to leverage our partnerships to be sure that we are pushing these findings out into the community. We don't just want to, at minimum, make these assessments available. We really want to get them out there in the appropriate formats for the intended audience. So we don't want to just hand over these 60, 70-page assessments for these communities. We really want to make sure it's in a digestible format and tailored to, again, the intended audience. So that brings us to our last slide here. And just to kind of wrap up this presentation and further emphasize and reiterate why I'm here to speak with you guys today. So why is collaboration for these assessments important? So collaboration really allows for the sharing of data, resource pooling and leveraging, and also lessens the possibility of duplication of efforts and assessment fatigue for the community. So if we all have to do assessments, it certainly makes the most sense for us to work together instead of us all continually going to the same people in the community and asking the same things. So if we're able to leverage our efforts and work together, it certainly minimizes the chance of assessment fatigue. And then also leading right into that, due to the complexity of health needs, collaborations and partnerships are most often required to make a true impact on health outcomes, meaning the work is often far too daunting for one entity to handle alone. And I'm sure that's not anything new to anyone on this call. We do know how complex so many of these health issues that our communities are facing are. And so our greatest chance for success is truly if we all work together. And so what does collaboration in this process really look like? And so collaboration will span the continuum from design to implementation. And so starting off at design, this includes representation on the steering committee and those regional work groups. And so as mentioned, we really want this to be a collaborative process for all involved and ensure that through these assessment efforts, we're able to achieve everyone's goals and everyone's different objectives and needs. And I will go ahead and mention that Tyler has thankfully agreed to serve on our steering committee. And so we're super excited about that. And so we're definitely ensuring that representation occurs there. It also will include primary data collection. So again, if we all work together and collaborate in terms of data collection, it really will allow us to garner more community input. So whether that's helping us to push out a survey or hosting focus groups, we really want to garner as much community input as possible. And also in recognizing that each of you have different interactions with the community than we do as a health system. And so really leveraging on these relationships that we all have in the community to best complete these assessments. will also come into play. Collaboration will, in terms of the prioritization of strategic issues that are identified in the community health needs assessment. So as mentioned in our previous iteration of assessments, we really partake in shared decision-making in the identification of strategic issues that are going to flow into our implementation plans. And so it's not that there's all of this collaboration and all of this data collection that occurs, but then Ballard comes in and handpicks what issues we want to address. It truly is collaborative in nature. And so this collaboration will really ensure that you have a say in what issues we select for our implementation plans. And then lastly, in relation to implementation, as mentioned, we certainly want to see continued partnership in those implementation efforts. As again, the work as referenced above is much too daunting for one of us to handle alone. And so the assessment process is fantastic. It really guides our efforts, but it's really this action and implementation cycle that is really when we get to see change and really when we get to better the lives of our community. And so on this final slide here, I do have my contact information. I'm happy if there's anyone who's like, oh, yes, I want to be on a regional work group as we start on these assessment efforts. Please feel free to reach out to me. Or if you have any additional questions related to our assessment process specifically, again, my email and phone number are on the slide here, and I'll be sure that Tyler is able to send you guys a copy of these slides so that you have them. And I did also want to provide a link to our 2021 assessment. So if you click that link, it'll pull up all of the assessments for our hospitals that were completed in 2021. And I believe that's all I have. Again, as I mentioned, I'm happy to take any questions that you all might have, or again, feel free to shoot me an email if that's easiest.
Thank you so much, Phasia. Anybody have questions for her before we move on? I know Tyler's going to talk more in just a second about specifically what this will look like for us. But anything else for her before Tyler jumps in?
Jillian, I did put a question for her in the chat about presenting the process to the Carter County Commission.
That's a great question. I will tell you, I don't currently have a plan to present to the Carter County Commission, but I am certainly happy to do so. So if you have a connection for me there or someone you think I should contact, please let me know. We're certainly trying to present this as far as I can and garner as much collaboration as possible. So I guess that's my answer to that one.
The mayor would be a good place to start, and she can guide you if she wants you to present it to a committee first, like the Health and Welfare Committee, or if she wants you to present right away to the whole commission.
Yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate that insight. Thank you very much. And yes, I will. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a direct message. But yes, I will send a copy of this presentation to everyone in a PDF.
Okay. Tyler, are you ready to share?
I am. Can you all see that okay?
We can.
Okay. All right, everybody. My name is Tyler, and I am the Regional Health Council Coordinator. I help coordinate the Carter County Collaborative meetings. And one thing that the health councils are supposed to do every 3 years is a county health assessment. With COVID, that system kind of got interrupted. And we're kind of picking this back up and attempting the county health assessments in all 7 counties. I will be the driving force behind a lot of these, well, all of them. But Carter's is coming up soon. We met with our executive committee for the Carter County Collaborative, and we're looking at a start date for our county health assessment of April, May. And it's going to be kind of like a 5-week period where we try to collect as much data as possible, much like ballot systems, but we're going to be kind of less intensive, I guess. So what we kind of want to focus on is doing a community survey, doing some listening sessions and some key informant interviews. So let's see. So what is the CHA? It is the county health assessment is a process for rural counties in Tennessee to identify strengths and address needs in our communities and to formulate a health council action plan. The CHA process aims to build upon the leadership of Tennessee's rural communities while supporting and aligning existing community activities already in place. So you see that steps kind of 1 to 5, that's what the health council steps will look like. So we're in the number 1 phase right now, that identify and invite collaborators to the table. We want to hear everybody's voice in this process. We want to hear from vulnerable populations, and we also want to hear from our policymakers. We want to hear from the people on top too. So next we'll move into like reviewing secondary data. We won't be doing too much secondary data reviewing. That'll kind of come later. As we are partnering with Ballard's Office of Population Health to help them complete their county health needs assessment, and they will help us complete our county health assessment. So that secondary data piece will be kind of built into that process. And then 3 will be seek and listen to input from community members. And that's where we're going to do that community survey, do some listening sessions, and do some key informant interviews. Next, we're going to establish up to 3 shared priorities. I believe Carter County's shared priorities in the past for this process were mental health, substance misuse, and ACEs. So once we gather all this data, we will analyze it as a group and kind of pick out those shared priorities. Now, once we have those shared priorities, later in the year, we'll develop an executive collaborative action plan, or a CHIP, a community health improvement plan, where the Health Council or CCC will work toward completing these health improvement plans around those shared priorities over the next 3 years until we start this county health assessment process all over again.
Hey, Tyler, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're still stuck on the first slide. So click play slideshow. It's not advancing your slides.
Oh. Can you see it now?
Yeah. Are
Yeah,
you
now we
actually?
see the second one.
It's weird because I have 3 screens right now. So it's like the one is showing presentation mode and then the other 2 aren't. So I don't know what screen you guys are looking at. But I'm just really going to go over this slide today, kind of what I was just talking about. So y'all can see that visual now though, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to just kind of hit very surface level of this process today. We will be planning to have an in-person meeting about this county health assessment on March 20th. Like Jillian had stated, we're going to partner with the CCDP to complete, well, they're doing their, is it the truck, Jillian?
The stashed away trailer.
Yeah, stashed away. Thank you. So late that same day, we're going to be holding an in-person meeting to talk about this process. We want to hear from all the community about this. We want to know what the strengths of Carter County are and what the weaknesses are. And I want everybody on board with this whole process of kind of establishing, you know, what have been issues in the past with Carter County and how can we work to improve them. We're going to be kind of looking at what this community survey is going to look like and kind of how this assessment's going to go. It's going to be about 5 weeks in total, and we just want as many people at the table as possible. If you all already received my email reminders for the CCC meetings, I'm going to send the meeting invite through that on Monday. This will be a catered event. I will get us a meal for that. So if you have some ideas or if you want your voice to be heard about some issues, come talk to us. We're going to set up some planning for that, and then agenda will be attached to that invite. So I wanted to kind of go more in depth with that at that meeting. Do I have any questions or comments about this process? All right, so I know that Emily Matthews couldn't be here today for our Committee C meeting at the end of this meeting, but I do want to talk a little bit further about this process. So if you are interested in this, join our Committee C breakout room today, and I can chat with you all a little bit more about this. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Paige and Tyler, both for sharing with us today. We are going to go ahead and get into our committees now. Something we have been doing a little bit differently is having committee leaders share at the beginning instead of at the end, so that when your committee is finished, you can go ahead and leave the meeting. So if I can have Tia share just a little bit about Committee A, what y'all are working on, and anything you want people to know that might be interested in joining your committee today.
Hi guys, so today we're just going to talk about the event on Wednesday. We're going to kind of go over some details about different services that we can offer people while we're there. And we're looking at doing something like this about every 3 months.
Thank you. For Committee B, which is our Action and Awareness Committee, we're going to be reviewing our strategic plan and looking at kind of what we really want to focus on, and also welcoming Megan Fisher, who is going to chair that committee in Brittany's place. So Committee B is Action and Awareness. Tyler, would you share about Committee C and what y'all are doing, and just whatever you want people to know that might want to join your committee?
Okay. I believe at the last meeting, we had talked a little bit about this county health assessment process, but nothing was in stone yet. But at this one, we're just going to kind of be discussing, brainstorming some ideas for our March 20th meeting. So if you have any great ideas, come on by.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open all the rooms now. So if you do not want to be part of a committee, thanks for being here. We will see you next month. And if you do, just get into your committees and you're free to go as soon as y'all are done talking.
I didn't get the option to a room.